Welcome to the latest episode of Beatin' and Bangin'. I'm your host, Kyle Dalton. In today's video, we've got a couple of stories on two different organizations, but both of them are currently trending in the wrong direction. One of those stories is on Kyle Busch. I know it sounds weird to suggest Busch is going the wrong direction because he's already locked in the playoffs and has 3 wins to his credit, which is light years ahead of his performance over the last few years at Joe Gibbs Racing. But his recent run of performances just isn't good. We'll break it down and talk about what Clint Bowyer had to say about it this week during an appearance on NASCAR Race Hub. Another team which is undeniably heading the wrong way is Stewart-Haas Racing. The 4-car organization hasn't made a single trip to victory lane all year, and unless something changes on Saturday at Daytona, we'll only have Kevin Harvick making the playoffs. This week, the Athletic's Jordan Bianchi appeared as a guest on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, where he talked about the organization and not just about its lackluster on-track results, but its future. Let's just say Bianchi had a lot to say, and if you're an SHR fan, you might want to be seated when you watch the video. And finally, just a little thank you for helping me reach an important milestone on the channel. First, let's talk about Kyle Busch. This season has, in effect, been a rebirth for the 38-year-old driver. If you'll recall, a year ago this time, rumors were picking up steam that Rowdy would be leaving JGR after 15 years with the organization. While no one could believe he would actually leave, if you look back at his last 3 years in the number 18 car, it was time for a change. After winning the championship in 2019, his performance dropped dramatically. How dramatic? In 2019, he won 5 times. Over the course of the next 3 seasons, he won 4 times. 4. With that as our background, now we fast forward to this season, his first with RCR. This year, he won 3 times before the halfway point of the season, with wins at Fontana, Talladega, and Gateway. Unsurprisingly and justifiably, everyone viewed Busch as a title contender. However, since the halfway point, the number 8 team has fallen off a cliff. How bad? In the last 7 races, Busch has finished 36th or worse 3 times. That's included mishandling cars, which have resulted in crashes, and mechanical issues. While there's no denying he's had a good season, especially when compared to his previous 3 at JGR, the way the team is performing going into the playoffs is alarming. This week, Clint Bowyer said as much during an appearance on NASCAR Race Hub.
I'm really concerned, Josh.
Are you?
Yes, I'm an RCR fan. I'm a Kyle Busch fan. How we get this 8 team? We talk about William Byron and how he started the year, what we saw when we started the season. You saw it with Kyle Busch right off the bat with the clash. All of a sudden, you get halfway through the summer. I talked about that faucet. We're out of water. Something is going on big time. We got to figure it out. Whatever it was that they had, I'm pretty sure RFK, Keselowski camp, they found whatever it was, right? So we got to find it back and get this 8-ball rolling.
While it's easy for Bowyer and others to question Busch for his lack of success in the most recent stretch of races, when looking at the full picture, it's evident, like all drivers, he's had his struggles throughout the season. But each time, he's rebounded in a big way with victories. There's no reason to believe Busch can't replicate that same pattern in the 2023 playoffs and potentially find himself advancing to the championship race in Phoenix. And if that happens, it'll be hard to bet against him, knowing he's already been down this path before and taken home a pair of trophies. Moving on to our next story, and it's a doozy. This season was always going to be bittersweet for Tony Stewart and Gene Haas, as they watched Kevin Harvick race in his 23rd and final year, wrapping up a Hall of Fame career that has included 60 wins and the 2014 championship. But the 2 co-owners never could have imagined how the 2023 season would unfold both on and off the track. On track, Harvick has been his always Mr. Reliable through 25 races, recording 11 top 10 finishes, including 6 in the top 5. Unfortunately, the other drivers of Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece, and Eric Almirola have not held up their end of the deal and have combined for just 9 top 10 results all year, or 2 fewer than Harvick. It's undeniably been a struggle at SHR, made even worse when watching smaller organizations like RFK Racing or Front Row Motorsports make multiple trips to victory lane. And that's just what's happening on the track. Off the track, the organization suffered a big financial blow when it was announced that Harvick's longtime sponsor, Anheuser-Busch, was leaving after the 2023 season to partner with Trackhouse Racing and Ross Chastain. Now, right in the middle of silly season, rumors have been swirling in recent weeks about SHR and what the future might hold. This week, during an appearance on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, the Athletic's Jordan Bianchi offered more details into the organization and potential big changes coming in the future.
Speculation surrounding Stewart-Haas Racing is that 1, maybe 2 of its charters could be in play, and that is certainly out there. I can't confirm that. I have talked to people who say that those charters could be available if someone who wants them, and that if you've got 40, 50 million in your pocket and you want a charter, maybe you go have a conversation with Gene Haas and Tony Stewart. But that's just part of this time of the year, too, where there's a lot of things out there, and there's definitely some smoke, pardon the pun, about the future of Stewart-Haas Racing and the direction it may head. It is, I mean, as we said in the show, Eric Almirola is very likely not to return next year. I have been told that Smithfield is not coming back. So right there, you've got a huge sponsorship hole you need to fill. And you start looking at all of this puzzle, you can understand why there could be some consideration of maybe Stewart-Haas Racing is evaluating its future and whether it's going to continue as a 4-car team. It's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out going forward.
I've heard similar rumblings from several others in the industry about SHR potentially downsizing. Interestingly, though, that's not all Bianchi had to say.
In terms of switching OEMs, its contract with Ford runs through next year. Tony Stewart has kind of said that, hey, we're with Ford for next year because that's our contract. I'm kind of summarizing what he said here, but beyond that, who knows? What I've been told is that Stewart-Haas Racing shifting back to Chevrolet is something to keep an eye on.
SHR fans thought the 2023 season would be a memorable one because of Harvick's farewell tour. It will certainly be remembered for that, and depending on what happens, it might also be viewed as the year when the organization began the process of transitioning into something very different than its reputation as one of the top teams in the Cup Series garage. Who doesn't love silly season? And finally, I just want to say a heartfelt thank you. Why, you ask? This week the channel hit a big milestone, the 1,000 subscriber mark. When I launched this channel 3 months ago, I really had no goals in mind for subscribers. I wasn't even sure if anyone would care what I had to say. I thought I had some interesting takes on NASCAR based on my experience covering the sport as a journalist. But that didn't mean anyone would want to watch the videos. You have, and more importantly, you've shown that you appreciate the videos by subscribing. That's very humbling, and I'm truly grateful for each and every one of you. I really appreciate you trusting me as a source for NASCAR news, and I look forward to bringing you more unique stories in the future. Okay, enough rambling about the channel. I'm curious to get your thoughts on Kyle Busch's recent slump, what Clint Bowyer had to say about it, and what you think about the potential of SHR cutting back to a 2-car team. Let me know in the comments section. Thanks as always for checking out the latest video, and have a great rest of your day.